The Galactic Coalition had existed for 300 years. 17 different alien species lived together mostly in peace. They explored space, traded goods, and shared knowledge. But they were not ready for war. The Draxus Empire came from the dark part of space that no one had explored. They were strong and cruel. They attacked the outer colonies first, places far from the Coalition center. One by one, these colonies fell to the Draxus war machines. Commander Alan Wright sat in a dark room watching the messages for help. Each message showed another colony being attacked. The people were scared. The Coalition's diplomats tried to talk to the Draxus, but the Draxus killed them. The defense ships of the Coalition were broken and scattered across space. "We need help," said Admiral Zorax. The admiral was from the Valoran species. His skin looked like crystal and reflected the dim lights in the war room. "We need a species that knows how to fight." Wright knew exactly who Zorax meant. Humans were different from the other species in the Coalition. The aliens kept humans at a distance because humans were unpredictable. Humans had fought many wars in their history. The other species thought this made humans dangerous. Now, that same history might save them all. "The humans have special soldiers," Wright said slowly. He didn't like admitting this. They train people just for dangerous rescue missions. The Coalition Council didn't take long to agree. They needed help now. Wright wrote the message himself. "To Earth High Command. The Coalition needs your help right away. Many civilian populations are under attack. We need your most lethal specialists." Wright sent the message to Earth. He wasn't sure if humans would help. The Coalition had not always been kind to Earth. They had limited human expansion into space. They had restricted human technology. But now they needed humans more than ever. 3 days later, Wright got a response from Earth. It was simple. "Help is coming." On Earth, military bases were busy. Soldiers packed equipment. Ships were loaded with weapons and supplies. The best rescue specialists on the planet prepared for the mission. General Laura Evans stood before the United Earth Council. "The Coalition has asked for our help," she said. "This is our chance to show our value." "Can we trust them?" asked one council member. "They have looked down on us for years." "That doesn't matter now," Evans replied. "There are innocent people dying. We help people in need. That's what we do." The council voted unanimously to send help. 28 specialist soldiers were chosen for the mission. They were the best Earth had to offer. Back on the Coalition's central planet, Wright waited. He didn't know what to expect from the humans. Would they send an army? Would they send weapons? A small ship arrived 3 weeks after the message was sent. It wasn't a warship. It was a simple transport vessel. Only 28 humans stepped out. "This is all?" asked Admiral Zorax. He sounded disappointed. The leader of the humans stepped forward. She was average height with short brown hair and serious eyes. "Sergeant Olivia Carter, Earth Special Rescue Division," she said. "We understand you have people who need saving." Wright looked at the small group of humans. They didn't look special. They wore simple black uniforms without fancy decorations. They carried weapons, but not as many as Wright expected. "Sergeant Carter," Wright said, "there are thousands of people trapped behind enemy lines. The Draxus forces outnumber you by hundreds to 1. Carter nodded. "We know. We've studied the situation. Show us the first target." Admiral Zorax looked at Wright with doubt in his crystal eyes. But they had no choice. They needed help, and these humans were all they had. "The first target is Proxima outpost," Wright explained. 300 scientists are trapped there. The Draxus have surrounded them. Carter looked at the information. "We'll have them out in 24 hours, she said simply. "Get your transport ships ready." Wright wasn't sure if he should believe her, but something in her eyes made him think that maybe, just maybe, these humans knew exactly what they were doing. Sergeant Olivia Carter gathered her team in the small room the Coalition gave them. Maps and pictures of Proxima outpost covered the walls. The outpost sat between 2 tall mountains. Drax's ships circled above it like hungry birds. "This is a research station," Carter said, pointing to the center building. 300 scientists are trapped inside. The Draxes want their research. Paul Rodriguez, her second-in-command, studied the map closely. "How many Draxes soldiers?" "About 50, Carter answered. "They have 12 guards at the main door and the rest inside." Jack Morrison, who used to be in the Navy SEALs, nodded. "We've faced worse odds." Samantha Wells checked her rifle. She was the best shot in the group. "Their armor is weak at the neck. One clean shot there will take them down." Carter looked at her team. They were the best rescuers on Earth. Each person had special skills. Daniel Garcia knew how to use explosives. Lisa Campbell could treat any injury. Kevin Patel could hack into any computer system. "We go in 4 groups," Carter decided. "Morrison and Wells, take the high ground on those ridges. Garcia and Campbell, go through these tunnels under the station. Patel, you're with me. We'll go in the front once the others create a distraction." The coalition officers watched the humans plan with doubt on their faces. They didn't think 28 humans could succeed where their armies have failed. "You should wait for more help," Commander Wright suggested. Carter shook her head. "Those scientists have been waiting for 3 weeks. We go now." The coalition provided a small ship called the Starlight. It flew quietly, without lights, to stay hidden from the Draxes. When they reached Proxima, the ship stayed in orbit while Carter's team went down to the surface in small pods. They landed far from the outpost and moved in on foot. It was nighttime. The 3 moons of Proxima cast soft light on the rocky ground. "In position," Morrison reported through their communication system. He and Wells had reached the ridges above the outpost. "Ready with the explosives," Garcia said from the tunnel entrance. Carter and Patel waited behind a large rock near the main entrance. She checked her watch. "Start in 3, 2, 1. Now." Morrison and Wells fired at the same time. 2 Draxis guards fell. Before the others could react, Garcia set off a small explosion at the back of the station. The ground shook. Alarms sounded. "Communications are down," Patel said as he worked on his small computer. "They can't call for help." Most of the Draxis guards ran toward the explosion. Carter and Patel moved quickly to the main door. 3 guards remained there. Carter took down 2 with her gun. Patel stunned the 3rd with an electric device. "We're in," Carter reported to her team. Moving to the central lab. Inside, the station was bright and clean. More Draxis soldiers appeared in the hallways. Carter and Patel fought their way through, moving from room to room. They reached the central laboratory and found 10 Draxis soldiers guarding the scientists. The aliens were tall with hard shells like insects. They carried large guns. "We need help here," Carter called to her team. Morrison and Wells crashed through the ceiling windows, firing as they dropped down. Garcia and Campbell burst in through a side door. The surprise attack worked. Within minutes, all the Draxis guards were down. 300 scared scientists looked at the humans with wide eyes. They were different species. Some had scales. Others had feathers. A few looked like walking plants. "I'm Sergeant Carter from Earth," she announced. "We're here to get you out." A tall scientist with insect features stepped forward. "You are humans. The Coalition sent humans to save us." "They sent the best," Carter said simply. "You have 3 minutes to get your important data. Then we leave." The scientists moved quickly, gathering small devices and computer chips. Carter's team secured the exits and prepared for the journey back to the pods. "First rescue almost complete," Carter reported to Commander Wright on the Starlight. "Get ready to receive 300 scientists." Wright's voice sounded surprised. "Already? It's only been 40 minutes since you landed." Carter smiled a little. "Told you we'd have them out in 24 hours. We work fast." Outside, more Draxis ships were arriving. Time was running out. But Carter's team had done this many times before. They knew exactly how to get people to safety, even with enemies all around them. Getting 300 scientists off Proxima outpost was not easy. More Draxus ships arrived every minute. The humans needed to move fast. "We can't go back the way we came," Jack Morrison said. "Too many Draxus in the air now." Carter looked at her map. "There's an old mining tunnel that goes under the mountains. It leads to a flat area where the Starlight can land." The scientists looked worried. Many had never been in danger before. Some were shaking with fear. Lisa Campbell, the team medic, gave them calm words and gentle smiles. "Stay close to us. We'll get you home." They moved through the station in small groups. Kevin Patel used the station computers to turn off lights in some areas and turn them on in others. This confused the Draxus about where people were going. "Smart trick," said one of the scientists, "a blue-skinned alien with 4 arms. Are all humans this clever?" "Just the ones they send on rescue missions," Paddle replied with a smile. The mining tunnel was dark and narrow. Daniel Garcia led the way with light sticks. The scientists followed in a long line. Carter and Samantha Wells stayed at the back to fight off any Draxus that might follow them. "Coalition Command, this is Carter," she said into her communication device. "We need the Starlight at the secondary pickup point in 30 minutes. Commander Wright's voice came back, full of surprise. "You already have the scientists." "All of them." "All 300, Carter confirmed. "No one left behind." The journey through the tunnel took 25 minutes. When they reached the other side, the wide plain was empty. The sky was getting lighter as morning came. "The ship isn't here," one scientist said in a worried voice. "It will be," Carter promised. "Everyone stay low and quiet." Just as she finished speaking, they heard the sounds of Draxus soldiers. A group of 10 had followed them through the tunnel. "Wells, Rodriguez, with me," Carter ordered. "Everyone else, protect the scientists." The 3 humans turned to face the Draxus. The aliens were twice as tall as humans. They had hard shell bodies and 4 arms, each holding a weapon. They moved forward slowly, confident in their strength. "Aim for the neck joints," Wells reminded the others. "1 shot, 1 kill." The fight was quick but intense. The humans moved fast, dodging the Draxus energy weapons. They fired with perfect aim, hitting the weak spots in the alien armor. In less than 2 minutes, all 10 Draxus soldiers were down. "Humans really are good at fighting," one of the scientists whispered to another. The sound of engines came from above. Everyone looked up, worried it might be more Draxus ships. Instead, they saw the Starlight coming down through the clouds. "Right on time," Carter said with satisfaction. The ship landed, and the scientists hurried aboard. Carter's team did a final check to make sure no one was left behind. Then they got on the ship too. The Starlight took off just as Draxus ships appeared on the horizon. Back on the Coalition's central planet, Admiral Zorax and Commander Wright waited nervously. They hadn't heard from the humans in hours. Many Coalition officers thought the rescue had failed. "The Starlight is returning," a young officer announced. "They're requesting landing permission." Wright felt hope rise in his chest. "Do they have the scientists?" Before the officer could answer, another voice came over the communication system. It was Carter. "Coalition Command, this is Sergeant Carter. Mission complete. 300 scientists safe and sound. Request medical teams for 5 injured, none critical." The room went silent. Then cheers broke out. Coalition officers hugged each other. Some cried with relief. Zorax turned to Wright. "These humans, they actually did it." Wright nodded. They did. And this was just the first rescue. When the Starlight landed, the scientists poured out, talking excitedly about their rescue. The human team followed quietly, already planning their next mission. "The mining colony on Helios IV," Carter said to Wright. 3,000 workers held captive. "We'll need a bigger ship." Wright looked at her with new respect. "You'll have it. Whatever you need." News of the successful rescue spread quickly through the Coalition. For the first time since the Draxus attacks began, People felt hope. The humans had come to help, and they knew exactly what they were doing. The mining colony on Helios IV was different from Proxima outpost. It was built deep inside a large mountain. 3,000 workers were trapped there. The Draxis wanted the rare metals they mined. After the success at Proxima, the Coalition gave Carter's team a bigger ship. They also gave them better maps and weapons. But most importantly, they now trusted the humans to do the job. The Draxis have 500 soldiers at Helios, Commander Wright told Carter. They've been there for 2 weeks. They're making the miners work for them. Carter studied the maps with her team. The mountain had many tunnels inside it. Some were so small that only one person could fit through them. The Draxis are big, Paul Rodriguez noted. They probably can't go into the smallest tunnels. That gives us an advantage, Carter said. We can move where they can't follow. They planned for 3 days. This mission would be harder than the first one. There were more people to save and more enemies to fight. Kevin Petal created small robots that could go into the tunnels and map them. These will show us where the Draxis are and where the miners are kept. Daniel Garcia prepared special explosives that would make noise but not damage the tunnels. We'll use these to distract them. On the 4th day, they left for Helios IV. The journey took 5 days in the big Coalition ship. During that time, the humans trained and planned more. When they reached Helios IV, Draxis ships were all around the mining colony. Getting past them would not be easy. We need a distraction, Carter decided. Something big. Jack Morrison had an idea. Let's steal one of their supply ships. We can use it to get close to the mountain. It was a dangerous plan, but Carter agreed. Morrison, Wells, and 4 others went out in a small ship. They found a Draxis supply vessel heading to the colony. With quick fighting and clever tricks, they took control of it. We have the ship, Morrison reported to Carter. It's full of food and equipment. Perfect, Carter said. Take it to the main entrance. Say you have supplies for the Draxis soldiers. When you're inside, set off Garcia's noise bombs. The plan worked. The Draxis let the supply ship dock at the main entrance. As soon as Morrison's team was inside, they set off the bombs. Loud explosions rang through the mountain, but did no real damage. While the Draxis ran to find the source of the noise, Carter led the rest of her team in through a small tunnel on the other side of the mountain. They used Potthill's maps to find where the miners were kept. The miners were in the deepest part of the mountain. They were tired and hungry. When they saw the humans, they were afraid at first. We're from Earth, Carter told them. The Coalition sent us to get you out. One old miner with green skin stepped forward. Many have tried to help us. All have failed. We're different, Carter said simply. Now, we need to move fast. They split the miners into 10 groups. Each group followed a different tunnel out of the mountain. The humans used their small size to go where the Draxis couldn't follow. But not everything went smoothly. One group ran into Draxis soldiers. A fight broke out. Lissa Campbell was hurt trying to protect a young miner. Jack Morrison had to carry her the rest of the way. Leave me behind, Campbell said. Save the miners. No one gets left behind, Morrison answered firmly. That's our rule. After hours of moving through dark tunnels, fighting when they had to, all 3,000 miners made it to the Coalition ships waiting outside the mountain. Back on the Coalition central planet, Admiral Zorax watched the ships return. All the miners were safe. Only 5 humans were injured, none seriously. I didn't think it was possible, Zorax said to Commander Wright. 3,000 people rescued from under the noses of 500 Draxis. Wright nodded. The humans have a saying, where there's a will, there's a way. They always find a way. News of the second successful rescue spread quickly. People began to talk about the humans with hope and excitement. Stories of their bravery and skill grew with each telling. The Draxis noticed too. For the first time, they were worried. These humans were unlike any species they had fought before. After 2 successful rescues, the Draxis Empire was angry. Their leaders met on their biggest ship to make new plans. "These humans are causing problems," said the Draxus Supreme Commander Vec. His black shell body reflected the dim light. "They have rescued 500 scientists and 3,000 miners. This must stop. We will set a trap for them," another Draxus leader suggested. "We know they will come to save more people. We will be ready." On the Coalition's central planet, Carter and her team were resting after the Helios IV mission. Lysa Campbell's injuries were healing well. The other team members were planning for their next rescue. Commander Wright entered their room with a serious face. "We have a problem," he said. "The agricultural station on New Eden is under attack. 5,000 farmers and their families are trapped there." Carter looked at the information Wright brought. New Eden was a farming planet with wide fields and small villages. The Draxus had surrounded the main station where most people lived. "This looks too easy," Jack Morrison said, studying the maps. "The Draxus usually hide better than this. We can see exactly where they are." "It's a trap," Samantha Wells agreed. She cleaned her rifle as she spoke. "They know we're coming." Carter nodded. "Yes, it's a trap. But those people still need our help. We'll just have to be smarter than the Draxus expect." They spent 2 days making a new plan. This time, they would not use their usual methods. The Draxus would be watching for those. "They expect us to be sneaky and fast," Carter told her team. "So this time, we'll be loud and slow." Kevin Patel looked confused. "How does that help us?" Carter smiled. "Because while they're watching for our loud distraction, the real rescue will happen quietly somewhere else." The plan was risky. Half of Carter's team would attack the Draxus directly, making a lot of noise and drawing attention. The other half would go to the back of the station through underground water pipes that Patel had found on old maps. "This is dangerous," Commander Wright warned when Carter told him the plan. "You'll be dividing your forces. The Draxus might capture some of you." "That's a risk we have to take," Carter said firmly. "Those farmers have children with them. We can't wait." 3 days later, they reached New Eden. The planet was beautiful, with golden fields of grain stretching to the horizon. But dark Draxus ships cast shadows over the land. "Ready?" Carter asked Morrison, who would lead the distraction team. Morrison nodded. "Ready. Just make sure you get those people out." "We will," Carter promised. "See you back at the ship in 6 hours." Morrison's team launched a direct attack on the main Draxus position. They used loud weapons and bright explosions. All the Draxus soldiers ran to fight them. Meanwhile, Carter led her team through the water pipes. They were cold and dark, but led right into the center of the agricultural station. When they emerged, they found 5,000 scared people waiting. "Who are you?" asked a farmer with red skin and 4 eyes. "We're from Earth," Carter explained quickly. "We're here to get you out. The other humans are keeping the Draxus busy, but we don't have much time." The farmers moved quickly, helping each other. Parents carried small children. The humans guided them through the water pipes in small groups. Getting 5,000 people through narrow pipes took hours. Carter kept checking her watch, worried about Morrison's team. They had been fighting the Draxus for a long time. "Last group coming through now," Paul Rodriguez reported. Just then, Carter's communication device crackled. It was Morrison. "We can't hold them much longer. We've lost contact with Wells and Garcia." "Hold on," Carter told him. 5 more minutes, then get out of there." The last farmers made it through the pipes. Carter led them to the waiting coalition ships. As the ships took off, she counted her team. 2 were missing. "Where are Wells and Garcia?" she asked Morrison when his team finally arrived. Morrison's face was grim. "The Draxus took them. They're prisoners now." The journey back to the coalition planet was not happy this time. They had saved 5,000 people, but lost 2 of their own team. Admiral Zorax met them when they landed. "You saved all the farmers. This is a great victory." Carter shook her head. "Not a complete victory. The Draxus have 2 of my people, and I'm going to get them back. Carter didn't sleep that night. She kept thinking about Wells and Garcia, captured by the Draxus. What were the aliens doing to them? Were they still alive? The next morning, she met with Commander Wright and Admiral Zorax. I need to know where the Draxus take their prisoners, she said. We believe they have a main prison on their largest ship, Wright said. It's called the Death Shadow, but no one has ever seen inside it and lived to tell about it. Then I'll be the first, Carter said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were hard. This isn't a rescue mission anymore, Zorax warned. This would be a direct attack on the Draxus command. The Coalition Council won't approve it. I don't need their approval, Carter replied. I just need a ship. My team and I are going, with or without your help. Wright looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. I'll get you a small, fast ship, but the Coalition will say they know nothing about this mission. That's fine, Carter said. Just get me that ship. She gathered the rest of her team. They all looked tired but determined. Wells and Garcia would do the same for any of us, Jack Morrison said. The others nodded in agreement. Kevin Patel had been working all night. I hacked into the Coalition's deep space tracking system, he told Carter. The Death Shadow is here, near the edge of Draxus space. It's at least a 5-day journey, Paul Rodriguez noted. And that's the biggest Draxus ship in the galaxy. How do we get in? The same way we always do, Carter said. We find a way no one else has thought of. Lisa Campbell had recovered from her injuries. The Draxus might be expecting us. They know we won't leave our people behind. Carter smiled a little. Yes, but they don't know what we're willing to do to get them back. The small ship Wright gave them was fast and had good weapons. They named it the Rescue One. It was not as comfortable as the big Coalition ships, but it was perfect for their needs. The journey to Draxus space took 6 days. They traveled quietly, with all lights off, to avoid being seen. When they finally saw the Death Shadow, they were shocked by its size. It was as big as a small moon, black, and covered with weapons. Now we know why no one has ever attacked it, Morrison said quietly. It's a fortress. Patel studied the ship through their sensors. It has a weak spot. All ships need to take in air and push out waste. This ship does that here, near the bottom. That opening must be tiny, Campbell said. How do we get in? We don't, Carter decided. We send in drones first, tiny ones with cameras. They'll show us what's inside and where Wells and Garcia are being held. They spent a day building small drones from parts on their ship. Paddle programmed them to find human life signs. When the drones were ready, they moved the Rescue One close to the Death Shadow, hiding behind space debris to avoid being seen. Launching drones now, Morrison said. 5 small objects, no bigger than a human hand, flew from their ship toward the giant Draxus vessel. For hours they waited. 2 drones were destroyed by the ship's cleaning systems. 1 got lost, but 2 made it deep into the ship. They sent back pictures that made Carter's heart beat faster. There they are, she said, pointing to a screen. Wells and Garcia were in a small cell. They looked thin and tired, but they were alive. The cell was in a section marked Special Prisoners on the ship's map. The good news is they're alive, Carter told her team. The bad news is they're in the most secure part of the ship, surrounded by guards. So how do we get them out? Campbell asked. Carter looked at the map again. We use the Draxus Pride against them. They think their ship is perfect. They think no one would dare attack it, so they won't expect us to do exactly that. You want to attack the Death Shadow directly. Rodriguez couldn't hide his surprise. With just 1 small ship. No, Carter said with a cold smile. I want to be captured by the Death Shadow. On purpose. Her team stared at her. Then Morrison started to laugh. That's either the craziest or the smartest plan you've ever had. Maybe it's both, Carter replied. But it's the only way to get our people back. And the Draxus will never see it coming. Carter's plan to get captured was risky, But she knew that once inside the Death Shadow, she would have a better chance of finding Wells and Garcia. Only 3 of us should go, she told her team. Me, Morrison, and Campbell. The rest of you stay on the rescue one. If we don't come back in 24 hours, leave without us. We won't leave you, Rodriguez argued. Yes, you will, Carter said firmly. That's an order. The Coalition needs you to continue the rescue missions. They prepared carefully. They hid small weapons in their clothes where the Draxus might not find them. Paddle gave them tiny communication devices that fit inside their ears. These will let us talk to each other and to the ship, he explained. The Draxus scanners probably won't detect them. When they were ready, Carter, Morrison, and Campbell took a small pod and flew directly toward the Death Shadow. They made no attempt to hide. Attention Draxus vessel, Carter said over an open channel. This is Sergeant Olivia Carter of Earth. I wish to speak with Supreme Commander Vec about the humans you captured. The response was immediate. A beam of energy shot from the Death Shadow, disabling their pod. Then a larger beam pulled them toward the giant ship. They took the bait, Morrison said quietly. Now comes the hard part, Campbell added. Their pod was pulled into a large bay inside the Death Shadow. 30 Draxus soldiers waited for them, weapons ready. The 3 humans raised their hands in surrender. You are either very brave or very stupid, said a tall Draxus officer. Supreme Commander Vec will be pleased to meet the humans who have caused us so much trouble. The Draxus took their visible weapons and led them deep into the ship. The corridors were tall and wide for the large aliens. Everything was black or dark gray. They passed many locked doors with guards. I'm counting steps and turns, Morrison whispered to Carter, so we can find our way back. They were taken to a large room with a raised platform. On it sat the biggest Draxus they had seen. His shell was darker than the others, almost blue-black. 4 bright eyes studied the humans. I am Supreme Commander Vec, he said in a deep voice. You have cost me many soldiers and many victories. Now you surrender willingly. Why? We want our people back, Carter said simply. The 2 humans you captured. Vec made a sound like rocks grinding together. It might have been a laugh. You came all this way, risked your lives, just for 2 humans. Why are they so important? Because they're ours, Carter replied. We don't leave our people behind. Interesting, Vec said. In the Draxus Empire, the weak are left to die. It makes us stronger as a species. While they talked, Campbell was looking around carefully. She noticed a control panel near the door with symbols that matched the prison section on the map their drones had found. Perhaps humans could learn from the Draxus, Carter said, stepping forward to keep Vec's attention on her. Perhaps we could work together. Work together. Vec sounded surprised. You would betray your Coalition allies. The Coalition uses us, Carter lied. They send humans to do the dangerous jobs they're afraid to do themselves. We're tired of being used. While Carter distracted Vec, Morrison moved slowly to one side of the room. Campbell moved to the other side, getting closer to the control panel. I don't believe you, Vec said finally. Humans are known for their loyalty, not their treachery. Take them to the prison cells with the others. 4 guards moved to grab them. That's when all 3 humans acted at once. Carter threw a small device at Vec that exploded in bright light, temporarily blinding everyone in the room. Morrison took down 2 guards with quick strikes to their neck joints. Campbell reached the control panel and pressed the symbols for the prison section. Alarms sounded throughout the ship, but not because of what they had done. A voice spoke in the Draxus language, sounding urgent. What's happening? Carter asked a fallen guard, pressing her hidden knife to his neck joint. Your ship is attacking us, the guard said in fear. It's firing at our engines. Carter smiled. Rodriguez had disobeyed her orders, just as she expected he would. The rescue one was creating a distraction. Let's move, she told Morrison and Campbell. We've got a prison to break into. The Death Shadow was in chaos. Alarms rang everywhere. Drax's soldiers ran through the hallways. The attack by the Rescue One had surprised them completely. Carter, Morrison, and Campbell moved quickly through the ship. They avoided the main corridors where most soldiers were running. Instead, they used service tunnels that were tight spaces for the Draxes, but perfect for humans. According to the map, the prison section is 2 levels down, Morrison said. He led the way, remembering the turns they had taken earlier. Campbell touched her ear device. "Rodriguez, can you hear me? What's your status?" Rodriguez's voice came through clearly. "We're hitting their engine areas. Not doing much damage to this giant ship, but keeping them very busy. How are you doing?" "On our way to find Wells and Garcia," Carter answered. "Keep them distracted for 10 more minutes." They reached a large door marked with Draxis symbols. Campbell studied it. "This is it. The prison section." The door had a control panel like the one Campbell had seen earlier. She tried pressing the same symbols, but nothing happened. "It needs a Draxis handprint," Morrison realized. "Their security is better here." Carter looked around. "Then we need a Draxis." They didn't have to wait long. A single guard came running down the hallway, probably responding to the alarms. Morrison stepped out and tripped him. Before the Draxis could shout, Carter had her knife at his neck joint. "Open the door," she ordered, "or you join your ancestors today." The guard pressed his hand to the panel. The door slid open. Campbell hit him with a stun device, and he fell unconscious. Inside the prison section, there were many small cells. Most were empty. Some held Coalition aliens who looked at the humans with surprise and hope. "We're looking for 2 humans," Carter told them as they passed. "Wells and Garcia." End of the hall, called a prisoner with green scales. The Draxis put all humans together. They found the cell. Wells and Garcia were inside, sitting on the floor. They looked thin and tired, but alive. When they saw their teammates, they stood up quickly. "Took you long enough," Wells said with a weak smile. "Traffic was bad," Carter replied, relieved to see them alive. Morrison worked on the cell door. It had a different lock than the main door. He attached a small device that Patel had given him. The lock sparked, and the door slid open. "Can you walk?" Campbell asked, checking Garcia for injuries. "We can run if needed," Garcia assured her, "which I'm guessing it will be." Carter touched her ear device again. "Rodriguez, we have them. Start the extraction plan." "On our way," Rodriguez confirmed. "Meeting point in 5 minutes." They started back through the prison section, freeing other prisoners as they went. Soon, they had 20 Coalition aliens following them. "This wasn't part of the plan," Morrison muttered to Carter. "Plans change," she replied. "We don't leave anyone behind." Getting back to the landing bay where they had arrived was not easy. The ship was still in chaos from the Rescue One's attack, but Drax's soldiers were everywhere. "We need a different way out," Wells said. "The Draxis will be watching all the usual exits." Garcia, despite his weakened state, had an idea. "The waste disposal system. Every ship has one. It's how they get rid of trash. Usually leads to an outer door." Patel's voice came through their ear devices. "Garcia's right. The map shows a waste disposal unit 1 level down from you. It empties into space every 30 minutes. How do we know when it's safe to enter?" Campbell asked. "The system should have warning lights," Garcia said. "Green means it's safe to enter. Red means it's about to empty." They found the waste disposal room easily. It was large with a big door that opened into a tunnel. A green light glowed above it. "Everyone in," Carter ordered. The freed prisoners went first, followed by Wells and Garcia. Carter, Morrison, and Campbell went last. The tunnel was dark and smelled bad. They crawled through it for what seemed like hours, but was probably only minutes. Finally, they saw an opening ahead with stars visible. "There's the exit," Morrison said. "But how do we get from here to our ship?" As if in answer, the Rescue One appeared outside the opening. It had a small airlock extended toward them. Perfect timing, Carter said. Rodriguez, you're getting a bonus when we get home. One by one, they jumped from the waste tunnel to the airlock. It was a dangerous leap across open space, but they all made it. The free prisoners too. Once everyone was aboard, the Rescue One pulled away from the Death Shadow. The giant ship tried to follow, but its engines were damaged from Rodriguez's attack. Setting course for Coalition space, Rodriguez announced, "We'll be home in 6 days." Carter looked at Wells and Garcia. They needed medical care but would recover. And the Coalition would be happy about the other prisoners they had rescued. "Mission accomplished," she said simply. Back on the Death Shadow, Supreme Commander Vec received the news of the escape with cold anger. These humans were more dangerous than he had thought. They didn't just rescue Coalition aliens. They rescued their own with the same determination. For the first time in his long military career, Vec felt something new: respect for an enemy, and maybe just a little bit of fear.